بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have this great blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be together another night of months of Ramadan and dedicated to learning. Seeking knowledge is very, very important. Just today I was reading some hadith in the discussion about social engagement, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that even a talibul ilm, a seeker of knowledge, can do shafa'ah like the prophets. So alhamdulillah, we have this tawfiq, and I hope inshallah we will appreciate it, and then Allah will give us more tawfiq. We start with article 4, عقيدتنا في المجتهد. We talked about عقيدتنا في التقليد في الفروع, عقيدتنا في الاجتهاد. Now we want to see what is the idea of the Shia about a mujtahid, a jurist, a scholar who is able to refer to the original sources, to the Quran, to the Sunnah, to Ijma, to Aql, and come up with his own understanding, and at the same time has other qualities like taqwa, like intelligence. So what is the function of such mujtahid? Is he just giving fatwa, or he has more role in the Shia community? The late Muzaffar says, عقيدتنا في المجتهد الجامع للشرائط. Our belief about a mujtahid who is qualified, knowledge-wise, taqwa-wise, every aspect. إنه نائب للإمام عليه السلام في حال غيبته. Just if you reflect on this one sentence, it explains everything. إنه نائب للإمام عليه السلام في حال غيبته. We will inshallah see later what is the idea of the Shia about Imam alayhi salam, and then about Imam Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. That will be clarified later. But now, because we have talked about taqleed and ijtihad, so we are talking about mujtahid right now. But basically, everyone knows that how much Shia love their imams, how much they devote themselves to the Ahlul Bayat. Now, in the time of occultation, who represents the Imam alayhi salam? Who is the deputy of Imam? Who runs the affairs of the community? It's a mujtahid who is qualified. Of course, in the time of minor occultation, al-ghaybat al-suqra, we had people who were specifically appointed by Imam Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif to be as his deputy. Those are called an-Nuwabul Arba'ah. Also they were an-Nuwabul Khassa. An-Naibul Khas, like for example Ali ibn Muhammad al-Samuri, is the one who is chosen by Imam himself. And that is actually the characteristic of the time of غيبة الصغرى. This was a transient situation for the Shia community. They had imams directly available among them. Then there was a period of 69 years, from 260 after Hijrah up to 329. This 69 was a kind of training, a kind of exercise to prepare them for the main situation in the time of Ghaiba, which is Al-Ghaibatul Kubra, where we don't have anyone specifically appointed, and it is our responsibility to take the conditions, requirements from Imam and Ahlul Bayt in general, and look for those who are qualified. So we have now An-Naibul Am. Am means he is not designated by name, he is not appointed particularly, but is general appointment. Imam alayhi salam and other Imams have told us what are the conditions of a qualified faqih that we should refer to in the time of Ghaiba. Of course, even in the time of Hudur, presence of Imams, the Shia had to refer for many issues to the people who were knowledgeable at that time. In the discussion about ijtihad and taqleed, which alhamdulillah are available online, we have mentioned those hadiths. But in a particular way, they have more leadership role because Imam alayhi salam is supposed to keep distance from the community, supervise them, guides them, but not directly get involved into their affairs unless there is emergency. Okay, so إنه نائب للإمام عليه السلام في حال غيبته. Is the deputy of Imam in the time of Ghaiba of Imam. Of course, he is not ma'asum. We don't expect our mujtahids to be infallibles. They can make mistakes. But they are very pious, they are very knowledgeable, they are very wise. Their mistakes are very minimal. But if we were hoping that another ma'asum comes and fills the gap, then there was no need for Imam to go to Ghaiba. This is not the time that we have the blessing of being directly led by ma'asum. But at the same time, it's a time that we can improve our understanding and increase our devotion. Like, for example, when the teacher, after spending some time with the students, finds in them that they are, if not all of them, at least some of them, are very committed, very responsible, very dedicated, intelligent, says, okay, now I have to go somewhere and I want you to run the class. This can happen only when there is some level of trust in the class and you want to see how they behave, and in this way they can get many experiences and learn many things that if the teacher was there, maybe they were not able to get. So in a sense, going to Ghaiba is a kind of upgrade. The best of the Shia, as Imam Sajjad said to Abu Khalid al-Kabuli, those who are أفضل أهل كل زمان are in this class. I'm not saying individually, because there are many individuals in the past who are much better than many individuals in this time. But generally speaking, mu'mineen in this time أفضل أهل كل زمان. Why? لأن الغيبة صارت عندهم بمنزلة المشاهدة. These are the students, whether the teacher is in class or the teacher is outside, they do their job. These are the students that when the teacher is not there, they actually feel more responsible to work harder to fill the gap. أفضل أهل كل زمان. So we don't expect another ma'soom to be our leader, to be na'ibul imam. No, he is a human being. Our mujtahids, our marja, they are human beings. They can make mistakes, but because of their taqwa, because of their knowledge, because of their dedication, because of their humility, because they consult, the chance of making mistakes is very low. And anyway, it's better than everyone making his own decision, people without knowledge, without experience, without taqwa, everyone taking the lead of the community. No. وهو الحاكم والرئيس المطلق. This qualified mujtahid is a hakim. For our religious affairs, at least, if we cannot have a society run by Islamic rulings, by the rulings of the Sharia and Ahlul Bayat alayhimus salam, at least our community affairs must be according to the view of such person or persons. Al-Hakim wal-Ra'isul Mutlaq. He is the one who has comprehensive leadership. وَلَهُ مَا لِلْإِمَامِ فِي الْفَصْلِ فِي الْقَضَايَا. It's fasl, not fadl. وَلَهُ مَا لِلْإِمَامِ فِي الْفَصْلِ فِي الْقَضَايَا وَالْحُكُومَةِ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. The authority that Imam alayhi salam has to settle the cases among people. People have cases, people have complaints, debates. This authority, because one person may accept your decision, the other one may not accept, sometimes none of them accepts. We need someone to finish, to settle. Fasl means to finish, to say the last word. This needs authority. Authority comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Prophet in the first place, then Imam alayhi salam. But then after that, who can have this authority to settle, to judge? This is the mujtahid who is qualified. وَالرَّادُّ عَلَيْهِ رَادٌّ عَلَى الْإِمَامِ. If someone disobeys such mujtahid, has disobeyed Imam alayhi salam. وَالرَّادُّ عَلَى الْإِمَامِ رَادٌّ عَلَى اللَّهِ. And the one who rejects Imam is like rejecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Disobeying Imam is like disobeying Allah. وَهُوَ عَلَى حَدِّ الشِّرْكِ بِاللَّهِ. And this is like associating partner to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You make yourself like a partner. You say, Allah said this, but I do this. كما جاء في الحديث عن صادق آل البيت عليه السلام. In the way that has been mentioned in the hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. The late Sheikh Mudaffar, Ayatollah Mudaffar, is referring to the famous hadith which is known among the scholars as Maqbulatu Umar ibn al-Handhala. This is very famous hadith. I am reading for you from Al-Kafi, volume 1, page 67. Hadith number 10. This hadith is not according to the rules of the Dirayatul Hadith, is not Sahih. Sahih means that all the narrators should be Imami and Adil. So it's not Sahih, but it is Maqbula, although there are non-Imamis, non-Shia, but because they were reliable, maybe one, maybe more. If in a hadith there is non-Imami, still it can be Hasan, it can be something which is compensated by other things like Shuhra, whatever. This is Maqbula, means it has been accepted by ulama because of many ways of establishing this hadith, like frequency, the content, etc. The hadith is long. I don't read all of it, but just a few lines. عن عمر بن حنظلة قال سألت أبا عبد الله عليه السلام عن رجلين من أصحابنا بينهما منازعة في دين أو ميراث. The question started with this maybe real case, or maybe just for the sake of understanding. Two people from our community, from our companions, means from our Shia community, they have a case either about a debt or about inheritance, and they didn't agree on a solution. They have gone to the king, to the judge, which is appointed by the king. Of course, at that time, maybe Khalifa was Umayyad Khalifa, for example, or Abbasid Khalifa, because Imam Sadiq lived end of the Umayyad and beginning of Abbasid. So goes to some of these people who have authority by appointment by the Khalifa, who is not legitimate. أَيَحِلُّ ذَلِكَ, is this permissible? Imam alayhi salam said no. Whether you are right or wrong, you should not go to such courts. And even if you are right, if you take something based on this judgment, it's not right for you. And then this person asks, okay, what should they do? فَكَيْفَ يَصْنَعَانِ قال ينظران إلى من كان منكم ممن قد روى حديثنا ونظر في حلالنا وحرامنا وعرف أحكامنا فليرضوا به حكما. The two parties should see who is there who has narrated our hadith, means he's familiar with our hadith. وَالنَّظَرَ فِي حَلَالًا, and he has carefully studied our halal and haram. وَعَرَفَ أَحْكَامَنَا, knows our rulings. They should be pleased with such a person as a judge for arbitration. فَإِنِّي قَدْ جَعَلْتُهُ عَلَيْكُمْ حَاكِمًا. When there is such a person and they agree on him, I have appointed him. It's a general appointment. So later you cannot say, no, I don't want. You agreed on such a person, I am giving authority to that person. فَإِذَا حَكَمَ بِحُكْمِنَا فَلَمْ يَقْبَلْهُ مِنْهُ, or فَلَمْ يَقْبَلْهُ مِنْهُ فَإِنَّمَا اسْتَخَفَّ بِحُكْمِ اللَّهِ, or فَإِنَّمَا اسْتُخِفَّ بِحُكْمِ اللَّهِ. If he makes a judgment and one party doesn't accept, the ruling of Allah or the judgment from Allah has been underestimated. وَعَلَيْنَا رُدَّ, and we have been rejected. وَالرَّدُّ عَلَيْنَا الرَّدُّ عَلَى اللَّهِ, the one who rejects us, disobeys us, is like rejecting Allah, disobeying Allah. وَهُوَ عَلَى حَدِّ الشِّرْكِ بِاللَّهِ, and this is at the level of shirk, similar to shirk. So the late Ayatollah Muzaffar is referring to this hadith. It says Imam Sadiq alayhi salam mentioned, he is referring to this hadith. Okay. Now, فَلَيْسَ الْمُجْتَهِدُ الْجَامِعُ لِلشَّرَائِطِ مَرْجَعًا فِي الْفُتْيَا فَقَط. A qualified mujtahid is not just someone that we refer to him for giving fatwa. بل له الولاية العامة. No, it's more than that. He's not just giving fatwa. He has a general leadership. Wilaya means leadership. Walaya means friendship, love. Such mujtahid has a general leadership. فَيُرْجَعُ إِلَيْهِ فِي الْحُكْمِ وَالْفَصْلِ وَالْقَضَاءِ. In judging, settling the debates in qada, judgment, we should refer to him. Hukm also can mean in issuing verdicts. Hukm can be judgment, can be issuing verdicts. When is the beginning of the month of Ramadan? If a mujtahid issues the verdict, then everyone must follow. Eid al-Fitr, if they issue a verdict, if for any thing, a qualified mujtahid issues a hukm is different from fatwa. Fatwa is only applicable or has only power for marja and his followers. Fatwa of a marja would not be necessary for other maraja or other maraja's followers to follow. But hukm is specific, is directed to a case, and then every person, even other mujtahideen, other maraja, have to follow. But of course, he cannot make hukm baseless or arbitrarily or about everything. He cannot say, I make hukm that you do salat this way or that way. No. But what particular cases that in fiqh are known, there is possibility of hukm. So he can make issue verdict, and this becomes something that all have to follow. وَذَلِكَ مِنْ مُخْتَصَّاتِهِ. And this is exclusive to such mujtahid. لا يجوز لأحد أن يتولاها دونه. No one can undertake such responsibilities except him, إلا بإذنه. Either he or someone who has permission from him. كما لا تجوز إقامة الحدود لا تجوز إقامة الحدود والتعذيرات إلا بأمره وحكمه. Also, if the judgment is made and this person has to be punished, either hudud or ta'zirat. Hudud are those punishments which are determined in Sharia, in Quran. Ta'zirat are lower than them and are left to the judge. Whether it is hudud or ta'zirat, it's not job of everyone. They say, okay, this person is, for example, a thief and has certain conditions, all the conditions are met, we punish them. No. It must be either Imam alayhi salam or Na'ibul Imam or someone who is appointed by them. So you see that, for example, in the time of some Safavid kings, for example, in particular, it's very interesting in history if you study, you see the king Tahmasp, Shah Tahmasp is in Farsi, King Tahmasp, wrote to all his agents and governors that whoever is appointed by Muhaqqiq Karaki or dismissed by him is effective. And indeed the king was saying that I am the king because of his blessing. I get my authority from Muhaqqiq Karaki. So this is something that has deep history. ويرجع إليه أيضا في الأموال التي هي من حقوق الإمام ومختصاته. Also those things like khums, for example, Sahmul Imam alayhi salam, khums in general. Or there are many issues, some of the anfal, some of the general public money. Or there are cases that there are, for example, people like some orphans who have no guardian. There are money and properties whose owners are not known. These are also to be under the guardianship of such mujtahid. ويرجع إليه أيضا في الأموال التي هي من حقوق الإمام ومختصاته. Also such mujtahid is referred to with respect to those types of money that are rights of Imam and exclusive to Imam alayhi salam. وهذه المنزلة, this position is الرئاسة العامة, this general leadership, أعطاها الإمام عليه السلام للمجتهد الجامع للشرائط ليكون نائبا عنه في حال الغيبة. This is the position that Imam has given to a qualified mujtahid so that he would be his deputy in the time of occultation. وَلِذَلِكَ يُسَمَّى نَائِبَ الْإِمَامِ. Therefore, such mujtahideen are called Na'ib Imam. Of course, if one person emerges as a marja, as a leader that majority of Shia or all the Shia they agree on, and he has popularity, acceptability, then it's very clear that everyone should follow him, not only in fatwas but also in hukm and in homes and other issues. But if there are few qualified mujtahids and each of them has some following, because people are to decide between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has more evidence on his side to be the most qualified. So because it's somehow democratic, it's left to the individuals between them and Allah to decide. So we may have different judgments, we may have more than one person. Okay, for fatwa, everyone follows his or her marja. For khoms, there are two views. One is be given to the marja, one is to be given to the person who is running the affairs, who is in socio-political issues, listened to by most of the people, has general acceptability, maqbuliyat amme, someone who is responsible for leading the community and not just giving fatwa. There are two views. When it comes to socio-political issues, then there are lots of discussions here. Who is mabsutul yad? Maybe we have a very, very qualified mujtahid, very pious, very qualified, but his hands are not open. For example, he is put in prison, or he is under dictatorship and cannot do anything, cannot communicate, cannot, send instructions or receive information. Because his hands are not open, then he cannot exercise leadership. We should see whose hands are open. So if a faqih is established somewhere and has acceptability and hands are open, then that person is to be followed. Therefore, if someone asks, should we have one for the whole world or more than one, it varies. Are there people who are all equally qualified or not? Are they all equally popular or not? Are they all mabsutul yad or not? It's very actually rational here. And it's also different. Many times what happens is that, for example, when a generation of marajah one by one pass away, Then we have a new generation, and this is when we may have many maraja. But then, little by little, one becomes more established because of many factors, because of his knowledge, because of his wisdom, because of, I don't know, uh, contacts. Some people die, some people uh, will not become popular. So little by little, maybe one, two, three emerge. And it can reach the point that one person would be almost marja for all the Shia. But then after him again, we have another generation. So sometimes we may have five, six more people. Also, the communication in the past, we had many local maraja in big cities, in big, provinces in Iran, in Iraq. There were many maraja because it was difficult for people to communicate to Najaf or Qom. But now it's much easier. There can be a marja in Najaf, there can be marja in Qom, and be mabsut al He knows what is happening in the world. He has his ways of communication, his own network, and he can exercise leadership. And people know him. People can ask him questions. So there are lots of details here, but what is important is that based on our hadith and based on reason, which is educated by teachings of Ahlul Bayt, we know that we cannot live without leadership. And the people who can undertake this leadership are the closest people to Imam. And that is because of knowledge, because of taqwa, and when they receive the recognition of ulama and the community in general, when their hands are open, when they are followed, then they have all the conditions for taking this leadership. I think I stop here, and we continue inshallah with the next article tomorrow, so that if there are some questions we can address. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Thank you, Sheikh, for a very informative night. Now,
Yeah,
Brother
welcome.
Hadi, please just take the dua.
Is there any question?
We can have one question.
Yes.
How do you decide who is the a'lam amongst the maraja? Also, how can we teach this idea to youth who are becoming mukallaf in a way that they can choose?
Yes. This is actually again something rational. If I want to understand among scientists in every field who is the most knowledgeable, what should I do? For example, I want to do my PhD, for example, with the best mathematician, with the best physicist. How do you understand? I don't go ask people of other fields. I don't go ask people who are not familiar with that field, or they have little knowledge, basic knowledge about that field. I go to the experts in that field. Sometimes maybe one person is so outstanding that there is almost consensus. If one person, disagrees, few people disagree, it's not important. Almost everyone says this is the best mathematician. So it's clear. Sometimes there is no consensus, but I ask, the majority say this person is the best. Sometimes they are divided. Very similar to this is the method that we have. We say sometimes there is Shia, means it's so well established and well agreed a spread that you know who is most qualified, you follow. Or you have expert opinions, they recommend someone, you follow. Sometimes expert opinions are, divided on different sides. Then you have choice. If they are equal, you have choice. Or if you yourself are a person who is familiar, can of course go and inquire. I am for example, Talabi who has studied, some years of Dars Kharij. I know in the Hawzas, in different places, in Qom, Najaf, Mashhad, other places, who are, for example, best maraji, best mujtahidin. I can judge myself, but if you are not yourself able to judge, you follow this method. Is there consensus or not? Are the experts agreeing on someone or not? If they don't agree, which side has more evidence? If it's equal, you have choice.